The most dangerous version of you is the one nobody sees coming. Not the version that announces every move. Not the version that posts every win. Not the version that needs the room to know things are going well. The dangerous version, the version that actually wins, moves in silence, reveals almost nothing, and arrives already ahead before anyone realizes what happened. Most people do the opposite. They talk about what they are building before it is built. They celebrate before the victory is secured. They share their progress with people who are not rooting for them. And then they wonder why things fall apart, why opportunities disappear, why the momentum they had suddenly seems to vanish. This is not a coincidence, and it is not bad luck. Machiavelli understood something about human nature that most people spend their entire lives learning the hard way. The world does not reward you for what you are achieving. It rewards you for what it cannot take from you. And the only things that cannot be taken are the things no one knows about yet. Here are 6 rules for building in silence, the kind of silence that compounds into something nobody can touch. Rule 1. Silence is your most powerful announcement. You have been taught that sharing your goals makes you accountable, that talking about what you are working toward builds momentum, that announcing your ambitions somehow commits you to them. What nobody told you is what actually happens when you share a goal before it is done. Your brain receives a social reward the moment someone acknowledges your plan. The acknowledgement feels like progress. It feels like you have already moved toward the thing. And because the brain has received part of the reward it was working toward, the drive to actually complete the work quietly diminishes. You have spent the motivation before doing anything with it. This is not theory, it is psychology. And it is why the most productive people you will ever encounter say almost nothing about what they are working on. But there is something even more important than the internal psychology. When you announce what you are building, you hand people a target. You give the wrong people time to prepare. You invite opinions that plant doubt. You create an audience for your failure if things do not go as planned. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man does not say everything he thinks, but he always thinks about everything he says. The reverse, saying everything you think without calculating the cost, is the single fastest way to drain the power from something that had real potential. Build it. Finish it. Then let the result speak. The result cannot be argued with. The announcement always can. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the sound of someone who does not need your validation to keep moving. Rule 2. Let them underestimate you. Being underestimated is not an insult, it is an invitation. When people assume you are less capable, less ambitious, less dangerous than you actually are, they lower their defenses. They stop competing with you. They stop preparing for you. They stop watching what you are doing because they do not believe what you are doing matters. And you build quietly, completely, beneath their radar. The Stoics had a name for this disposition. They called it reserve, the ability to move through the world without advertising your power, without needing others to confirm your worth, without requiring acknowledgement to continue. The person who needs to be recognized is always the most readable, and the most readable person is always the most manageable. Think about the people in your life who have surprised you most, the ones you did not take seriously, who showed up one day and had built something undeniable. What they had was not luck. What they had was the discipline to let your low expectations become their advantage. The moment you correct someone's underestimation of you, the moment you feel compelled to prove them wrong verbally, to assert your worth, to make sure they know what you are capable of, you have already lost the most powerful position available to you. Let them think what they think. Let them discount you. Let them look away. They will look back, and by then it will already be done. I do not need to be seen to be building. The work speaks when it is finished. Rule 3. Never celebrate where they can see you. Winning in public is one of the most expensive things you can do. Not because celebration is wrong, but because what celebration does to the people watching you, people who were never rooting for you in the first place, is activate something in them that they will not always recognize in themselves and almost never admit to you directly. Envy, competition, the quiet decision to make things harder for you going forward. Machiavelli was direct about this. He wrote that men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony, that losses wound people at a level that logic cannot reach. When someone watches you win publicly, they experience it as a personal commentary on their own position. They are not celebrating with you. They are measuring themselves against you. And that measurement, more often than not, produces resentment. The people who should celebrate with you already know about your victories. You told them privately. You shared that moment in rooms where it was safe. Everything else, the public announcement, the social media post, the room full of people who did not help you build it, is risk. It is handing information to people who will use it to calibrate how hard to compete with you, how much to resent you, and how much energy to spend working against what you are trying to build next. Win quietly. Celebrate privately. Move on before they have a chance to react. The scoreboard does not need an audience to be real. Rule 4. Control what they know about you. Information is leverage, and most people give it away for free. Every detail you share about your finances, your plans, your relationships, your fears, your insecurities, your next move, is a piece of leverage that leaves your hands and enters someone else's. Most of the time, you will never know exactly how it gets used. You will just notice eventually that certain conversations became harder, certain opportunities became scarcer, certain people seem to know exactly which buttons to press. That is not coincidence. That is information you gave them being used exactly the way information always gets used. Machiavelli understood that the prince who is fully known is fully predictable, and the fully predictable man can always be outmaneuvered, because the person who knows your next move can always be one step ahead of it. The person who knows your weakness will always apply pressure precisely where it hurts the most. This is not paranoia. It is a rational understanding of how human relationships actually operate beneath the surface of good intentions. The solution is not to become secretive to the point of coldness. It is to become deliberate, to ask, before you share something, what does this person gain from knowing this? And what do I lose? Most things do not need to be shared. They feel like they should be shared. The emotion creates the urge. The urge should be examined before it is followed. What they do not know about you, they cannot use against you. Guard the information that matters. Share what serves you. Let the rest remain yours. I control the narrative of my life. What I share is a choice, not a reflex. Rule 5. Move in silence, arrive already ahead. The most effective moves never get announced. They get discovered after the fact, when it is already too late to change the outcome. This is the pattern that separates the people who consistently win from the people who consistently almost win. The almost winners talk about what they are about to do. They create anticipation. They invite input. And in doing so, they also invite interference. from competition, from doubt, from the opinions of people who do not have the same stake in the outcome. The consistent winners decide, act, and complete. And somewhere in the middle of that sequence, long before the finish line, they stop being interesting to the people who might have tried to slow them down. Think about how this operates in your own experience. When you share a plan, people immediately begin contributing to the plan. They suggest changes. They identify problems. They remember reasons it did not work for someone else. They become invested in their version of your plan. And then you are no longer executing your vision. You are managing their expectations of it. The Stoics wrote extensively about this. Marcus Aurelius did not announce his decisions to the court before he made them. He made them. The announcement was the action was already done. There is a particular kind of confidence required to move this way. It is the confidence that does not need external input to maintain itself. It does not seek permission. It does not need encouragement. It is self-sustaining, fed not by the approval of others, but by the quiet, daily knowledge that the work is being done. Develop that confidence. It is not arrogance. It is accuracy. You know what you are capable of. You do not need anyone else to know it before you prove it. Move first. Explain later. Or do not explain at all. Rule 6. Your restraint is your power. The person who shows the least holds the most in every room they walk into. This is the rule that ties all the others together. Because everything, the silence, the underestimation, the private celebration, the controlled information, the quiet movement, all of it requires one foundational discipline: the ability to feel the pull toward expression and choose restraint instead. When you feel the urge to correct someone's wrong assumption about you, restraint. When you want to announce something before it is finished, restraint. When you feel the need to react publicly to something that challenged you, restraint. When the room does not know you are winning and part of you wants them to, restraint. Machiavelli described this quality as the most difficult and the most rare, because restraint runs directly against human instinct. We are wired for expression, for acknowledgement, for the social confirmation that what we are doing matters. The person who can override that wiring, who can feel the pull and not follow it, has access to a level of strategic advantage that most people will never understand, because they have never practiced it long enough to feel how it compounds. Restraint is not suppression. It is not pretending the feeling is not there. It is the recognition that the feeling is not the most important voice in the room, that the long-term position matters more than the short-term satisfaction, that the result you are working toward is worth more than the acknowledgement you want right now. Every time you choose restraint over expression, you add a layer of protection around what you are building. You make yourself less readable, less manageable, less available as a target. You become the person who cannot be touched because nobody ever sees it coming until it is already there. My power is not in what I show, it is in what I choose not to. 6 rules, one principle underneath all of them. What cannot be seen cannot be stopped. You do not need the room to know you are building. You do not need acknowledgement to keep moving. You do not need validation to believe in what you are working toward. The people who win quietly have learned something that the people who perform for the audience will spend years discovering, that the work done in silence, the wins celebrated privately, the moves made without announcement, are the ones that actually stick. From this point forward, the question is not whether you are winning. The question is, who needs to know? Most of the time, the answer is nobody. Not yet. Move, build, arrive. The result will introduce itself. Drop in the comments which rule hit you hardest. You already know which one it is.